It's finally time for the final game in this series of tier list videos. There are only 8 Robot Masters left, and they are all from the fan-made game Mega Man Rock and Roll. And it is an excellent fan game. I would suggest all of you check it out if you at all enjoy Mega Man, which obviously you do if you've sat through 12 other videos of this. However, I will still be looking at all of these Robot Masters with their weaknesses. Without the weaknesses, as Buster fights, they might all be S ranks, but I think the weaknesses are going to change a couple of them up at least. But without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we have Beetle Lady. Beetle Lady has a simple yet effective pattern. She'll start the fight by summoning 2 beetle drones, which will each rapid fire 3 shots at you before flying off screen in the same arc every time. After which point she will jump up and throw a blob of water down basically where she was standing, which will explode into little droplets that can damage you as well as the blob itself. Where the blob hits, a dandelion will grow, and then she will do a diagonal dash over to the other side of the screen, where she will summon her drones again, jump up, throw a water blob down at the ground, spawn a dandelion, dash over to the other side. This time, after she dashes though, that dandelion will have wilted and she will begin flapping her wings at it, which causes the individual petals to fly off towards you, which will all damage you, but they tend to have a safe spot basically right next to them. Her weakness is the soul trap, and apparently it is possible to get consistent results with this weapon. If you hit her with the ball itself, it'll deal 2 damage, but the real way you want to use this weapon is to trap her beetle drones and then knock them into her. It's easy enough to hit the first one she summons while it's still in her hitbox, but the second one you're gonna have to aim it at her, and that is where I have a problem with this weapon, because if it's consistent to be able to aim this weapon, it sure as shoot is not very intuitive at all. Because there's many times where I thought I was trying to launch it diagonally up, and that's really where the problem is. There's not much trouble with launching it left and right. Diagonally up and actually vertically is where I struggle launching it. You launch whatever you've trapped in the soul trap by jumping into it, and I guess where you touch it depends on which direction it's flying on. I don't know. I hate this weapon. The fight I actually think is pretty good otherwise, but man, what a horrible weapon. And I recognize that this may be mostly my own shortcomings, but I do stand by my statement that the weapon is unintuitive, and as such, Beetle Lady gets to go in the B tier. Where in the B tier do I want to put her? Probably I don't know, man. This one's a hard one to decide. You know, I'm feeling it right here next to Bounce Man. Next up, we have Drake Man. Drake Man is an interesting fight. He has a lot going on. He'll spend most of the fight on the walls. And in fact, he starts on the wall, where he will immediately drop down to ground level and begin shooting fireballs across the room. and he will diagonally dash to the upper side of the opposite wall. He'll shoot fire across at the top, which will cause fire to spawn at several points in its wake as it goes across the room, which will, after a few seconds, drop down to the floor and hit you there. He will also slide down on that side and shoot some fireballs. He'll hop onto the platform, shoot some fireballs, hop to the other side of the platform, shoot some more fireballs before hopping back on the wall, and he repeats this. While there is a lot going on, his weakness does actually trivialize almost all of this. His weakness is the shield bubble, which can take like 4 or 5 hits from his fireballs before it pops on its own. Contact damage will deal 4 damage with the shield, and you can also force the shield to explode, which gives you a little bit more range, makes it a little easier to hit him with it, which will also cause 4 damage. This fight would probably be one of the hardest ones, if not for the weakness. And the weakness does kind of make it a joke. So as such, Drakeman goes into the B tier with some of the other joke of robot masters like Magic Man. Next up we have Dune Woman. Now, Dune Woman is an interesting fight. One of the attacks that she'll do most often is she'll shoot out 3 blobs of sand at varying heights, although they're all within the 2-tile height of Mega Man, and they go at different speeds across the screen as she shoots them all at the same time. It is pretty easy to jump over all of them in one jump, though. She has 2 methods to jump across the screen. One of which is to jump to the middle and then slide the rest of the way. The other way is to slide to the middle and jump the rest of the way. Both of which can be tricky to avoid, although entirely possible, only because of how fast she does it. She can also use her signature attack, the Desert Storm, which will cause her to raise up high to the screen. Her half of the screen will get covered in a sandstorm that will damage you if you touch it, and it will also suck you in, and you have to slide to get away from it. And her other attack is to go underground, and then on both sides of the screen, she will come up and a sand sculpture of her will come up. If you hit the sand sculpture, you will of course get punished for doing so. And she almost always will shoot the sand blobs after this attack, but it is possible for her to basically do any of these attacks at random at any time. I like Dune Woman a lot. She's actually the one I choose to bust her to work my way into the weapon chain. But her weakness is actually the beetle drone, which deals 4 damage to her. Much like when Beetle Lady attacks you with it, it will shoot out 3 rapidly shots at a time. However, unlike when Beetle Lady uses it, it will home in on whatever target's on the screen, in this case Dune Woman, and it will shoot off its volley basically infinitely, unless it somehow gets destroyed, although I don't think Dune Woman has a way to destroy it. I could be wrong on that. Beetle Drone is a very overpowered weapon. However, it does not trivialize the fight. It does make it so you're basically never going to fall for the sand sculpture fake out. And it does also allow you to focus all of your efforts on dodging the attacks, which is very appropriate for this fight, because her attacks are all fast and difficult to dodge. I think this is an S tier fight. Right up there, in between Tundra Man and Snake Man. Next up we have Ghost Woman. Now this is a very interesting fight and probably another good candidate to start with to bust her. She effectively only has 2 attacks if you never get hit. Her third attack will only happen if you get hit by her signature move, the Soul Trap. So she almost always starts the fight by disappearing and then appearing in one of the 3 windows in the background. At which point, once she manifests herself, she will summon 3 ghostly skulls that will try to track you a little bit, but they move kind of slow and clumsy. You can lead them and create an opening for yourself to be able to dodge them and get to the other side of the screen, at which point they will naturally fade away before they can reach you. How hard or easy it is to dodge that attack is entirely dependent upon you and how you baited them from the get-go. It is worth noting that her weakness, the charge laser, will destroy these skulls if it hits it. Her other attack is to disappear and after a few seconds reappear at your location, so you'll want to keep moving whenever she disappears. You'll have a second or two where you see her shadow with her eyes show up where you were standing, before which she will materialize and immediately shoot 2 volleys of Soul Trap at you, and then after she does that she will immediately do it again. You can jump over them both in one go, or you can, depending on how you bait it, jump over one, slide under the other. It's not impossible to dodge them. If you know it's coming and you know how to dodge it, it's not that big an issue. It is hard to actually hit her when she uses this attack, however. Pretty much the best chance you have is after jumping over both of the Soul Traps. If you get hit by one of the Soul Traps, however, it will launch into her third attack. This attack only happens when you get hit by Soul Trap. Now, Mega Man will get encased in the Soul Trap and he will float up a little bit off the ground, at which point you can wriggle free with the D-pad. I don't believe jumping and shooting helps you wriggle free, but you can push all 4 of the directions on the D-pad rapidly and you have just enough time to break free before her first of 5 repeats of just materializing and dashing into your location before disappearing on the other side of you again would actually make contact. After her 5th dash, she will of course disappear and begin one of her other 2 attacks. The charge laser is her weakness. It creates a straight line from Mega Man's eyes all the way across the arena. It's very easy to hit her with this if you have an opportunity to actually use it when she is in view. Her 2 attacks do give you ample opportunity, especially when she appears in the window, since it both can hit her and destroy her projectiles that she sends at you. It's a good, appropriate weakness for her. It doesn't use up a lot of energy, so you have ample opportunities to miss with it, which you're probably going to. And yeah, all in all, this is a good fight. I like it a lot. I like how one of her attacks she only uses in response to you getting hit by an attack. That's something I don't think we really see a whole lot of with other Robot Masters. I mean, yeah, you've got stuff like when Tengu Man hits you with the tornado hold and he'll drop kick you, but that's more like just how getting hit by tornado hold folds out, more so than actually a follow-up attack. But I digress. Ghost Woman is also an S tier. Yeah, between Gemini Man and Fuse Man. Next up we have Missile Man. Now Missile Man has a very simple pattern. He basically only does 3 things. One of which is the easiest to avoid and get multiple hits off on him while he's doing. which is where he will make short hops all the way across the arena. You can easily slide under this and get 2, maybe even 3 hits off on him while he's doing this attack. His next attack is to turn himself into a missile and shoot himself horizontally across the screen, which generally I think you either have to choose to jump over, you might be able to slide under it. It's generally easier to just jump over it. When he reaches the other side of the screen, he will create a small explosion that can damage you, so you do need to get past him to not get hit by it. And his final attack is his signature move, the blast missile, which he will shoot 2 of them, one after another, and it's random which height he chooses first, but he will shoot one overhead, which, as long as you don't jump, won't hit you, and then he'll shoot one at basically ground level that you have to jump over. The trick with these is once they reach your x-axis, he will detonate them even if they didn't hit you, so that small explosion, well, now the one that will go over your head harmlessly, you gotta slide under to avoid being hit by, and the one that's coming at you, you gotta make sure you jump sooner than at the actual last second. All in all, it's not too difficult an attack to avoid. However, his weakness, which is the Desert Storm, which deals 4 damage to him, totally trivializes his blast missile, as it will catch them in the storm and just harmlessly send them off the top of the screen, while also damaging him. There's more than enough weapon energy here to defeat him, and also have a couple of extra shots for just, you know, if you need to get rid of the missiles in a pinch. He's a very easy Robot Master, even without his weakness. Yeah, another good candidate to Buster first. Oh man, he's gotta go in the B tier because he's too easy to go any higher than that. Yeah, he's definitely got to go somewhere near Drake Man. I would posit that he's a little bit harder than Drake Man, though. So, I think I can put him above Drake Man. Above Dust Man. You know what? Right in between Flame Man and Heat Man. Feels right. In the lower half of the B tier. Next up we have Polar Woman. Now, Polar Woman kind of apes my boy Tundra Man's gimmick a little bit and skates across the arena. When she gets right in front of Mega Man or Roll, she will do a little twirling jump like a figure skater. I think Tundra Man does the figure skater bit better. That's just me. But, yeah, it's easy enough to slide under if you can remember that she's going to do that jump every time that she skates and reaches right in front of Mega Man. As for her other attacks, there doesn't seem to be any pattern that she cycles through. She can just randomly choose to do one of these attacks. First one is her signature move, the Snow Roller, where she will throw 2 small snowballs that will bounce at different heights across the ground. You have to jump over the first one. You could slide or jump over the second one, and then she'll do a third one, which is quite large, which you can also jump over. One of her other attacks is to steal Chill Man's weapon from Mega Man 10 and create ice spikes on the floor, which you can just jump forward to avoid, or if there's enough room behind you, you can jump backward. And her other attack is to create 3 hearts made out of ice in front of her and launch them one at a time in quick succession, and they track to your location. These can be destroyed by her weakness, which is the Fire Breath, which deals 4 damage to her. It does actually continue on after striking the heart ice missile thing. and go on to damage her. It is an appropriate weakness for her because of this. She does spend a lot of time on the ground, so it's pretty easy to... In fact, the only time she jumps is when she skates and is getting right in front of you, and also when she uses the chill spike. She is a tricky fight to learn, and her weakness does not trivialize her like a lot of them have been. As such, I think Polar Woman is an S tier fight. Not quite as good as Ghost Woman, I think. Next up we have Reactor Man. Now, he has 3 attacks, and he almost always opens the fight with his signature attack, the Charge Laser, which is tricky to dodge, especially the first time you see it. You have to watch his arm cannon, which will slowly fill up and show you when it's about to fire. It does have a rhythm to it. It's not random intervals or anything like that. It's a set interval. It's just very quickly together, so you have to be ready to jump in time with it as he shoots it 3 times, which goes all the way across the room. You just have to jump over it to avoid it. His next attack is he can fire his laser at the ceiling, which will create like 4 or 5 waves that track to your location. There's enough room in between them that you can bait them pretty much wherever you want. You can jump over and slide between them. He doesn't have to follow it up with his 3rd attack, but he does almost always follow this one up with his last attack, which is where he teleports directly above you, and after a split second of hanging in the air will crash down trying to hit you, and where he lands will create shockwaves that go along the floor until they hit a wall. Now, his weakness is the Snow Roller, which if you just hit by firing a ball at him does 2 damage, but if you hold it, and this creates a big snowball in your gun, it will do 4 damage, and also it will freeze him. And honestly, it's better to just hold it and not even throw it, because of how often he tries to get close to you. And when you do freeze him, that gives you ample opportunity to dodge whatever he's doing. It also tends to cancel whatever attack he's trying to do. It really trivializes him, and as such, I do have to put him in the B tier. It's not a bad fight, but it's just the weakness is a little too powerful for him, and I do also think that his signature move is a little bit too tricky to avoid. It took me several replays to really get the timing down, even though I saw how it worked the first time I fought him. As such, I would probably put him below Drake Man, in between Cloud Man and Hyperstorm H, near the bottom of the B tier. And our final Robot Master of this entire series to talk about is Tide Man. Now, Tide Man has 4 attacks. First off, he almost always opens the fight with an attack where he shoots 3 small fish, one after another at slightly different y-axis heights. And they will all shoot across the screen and then double back to try and home in on your location. Oh, sorry, homing in is not the right word. They track to your location. If you're unaware, homing means it'll actually follow you, and tracking just means wherever you're at, when it decides to do this, it will launch in a straight line towards that and not change course with you. I probably should have explained that earlier in the series, but yeah, that's what I mean when I say tracking or homing. So these fish will track to your location, at which point they will fly off the screen if they miss. They can be destroyed pretty easily with Tide Man's weakness, which is the blast missile, deals 4 damage. One of his other attacks is to shoot 2 large robot fish. One low that you'll have to jump over and one high. And the trick here is you just have to time your jump appropriately so that you can fall in between them. His next attack is a metal anchor, which I really like. He'll swing his anchor out about halfway across the screen. It's very easy to dodge, and the chain on the anchor, I believe you can actually jump through without getting damaged. But I usually find it easier just to stay far away from him throughout much of the fight. And his final attack is his signature move, the shield bubble, which he will put around him and zigzag across the screen about 3 times. The bubble does get instantly destroyed by his weakness, the blast missile, and also damages him at the same time. Unlike a lot of enemies, he will not reform his shield bubble until he uses the attack again. And yeah, that's pretty much the fight in a nutshell. The blast missile will create a small explosion when it hits any of the things that it can hit, which is why it still damages him after you hit his shield bubble with it. If you do happen to shoot one of his fish with it, there is a possibility that it won't be a complete miss, as he can still swim through the explosion, but this is kind of rare to happen. I think the blast missile is a good weapon for him because it does instantly destroy the shield while still damaging him, and it can be aimed upward and downward. I think Tide Man is an A tier. Let's see, probably just behind Ringman. And there you have it. It is worth noting that there is one officially released classic Mega Man game that I did not cover Robot Masters from because I didn't get added to this list, and that would be the Wonder Swan exclusive Mega Man and Bass Challenger from the Future. I did recently play that game, and I can say they're all bad. That game is terrible. Yeah. As far as fan games go, I'm pretty satisfied with only having Rock and Roll in here. I would have liked to also rate the Robot Masters from Mega Man Unlimited, which is another excellent fan game. But, you know, the guy who made this tier list, Brick Road, which, thank you, Brick Road, for making this tier list. I don't think he likes Mega Man Unlimited that much. He's kind of wary of fan creations in general, and with good reason. So, I guess consider yourselves lucky that he even included Rock and Roll on this list. Because you can see that not even all of the official games made the cut. But yeah, this is where we stand. I want to give this list one more once over to see how I feel about these. Okay, I do have a couple of changes I need to make. First off, I failed to take into account the instant death mechanics in Missile Man and Drake Man's fights. And this is because they don't ever actually try to push you into them. So they're not going to get docked too much for it, but the lava in Drake Man stage and the pits in Missile Man stage, you can instantly die from both of those. So I gotta knock them down a couple points in good conscience. I think this will push Drake Man actually below Reactor Man. And Missile Man, I think, yeah, I also gotta knock him below Reactor Man. And I also think that I have been a bit too harsh on some of the older fights that I thought were totally trivialized, like Starman, Gyro Man, and Wind Man. I know I already moved Starman up once, because I originally put him in the D tier, because, I don't know, I think I was overcompensating for him being one of my favorite Robot Masters, and the fight just not being very good. But in all fairness, his fight doesn't actually have any problems, so he should be bumped up into the B tier. He's just really easy, and I don't know if I want to leave him at the bottom or bump him above Neptune, but he's right here at the back of the B tier. As for Gyro Man, I think he can stay in the C tier because much like Pharaoh Man, you're not really doing a whole lot, and I don't think obscuring the Robot Master from view is a good mechanic to fight with. I think I can move him just behind Mega Water S, and then Windman. I think I can actually bump him up to the B tier, probably above Neptune. Quint is going to stay at the back of the C tier. If I had my way, I'd put him in the F tier, but you know, I took another look at the F tier, and we've got a non-fight, another non-fight. Yeah. He, at least you can be hit by Quint's attacks. He's just not very good at hitting you. And of course, he doesn't fit in the D tier because these are all like weapons, sucks to hit him with. They really screwed up this fight in the D make. He has an attack that, as far as I'm aware, is impossible to dodge. His attack is pretty hard to dodge, and it deflects his weakness. He hits way too freaking hard and has a weakness that you have to basically make contact damage with. Instant death mechanic that can catch you off guard very easily. Very limited ammo to hit him with his weakness. You know, I may have been too harsh on Gutsman. I think I can move him up to the C tier. I don't really have a legitimate reason to keep him in the D tier now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I don't like the car thing here. They removed one of the sound effects that was key in telling when he was going to move, and yeah, I don't like Saturn. So yeah, I think I can justify all of this. I'm happy with the rest of us. This is going to be my final standings for the Classic Series Robot Masters. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know if I'll be doing another one of these, but I will definitely be playing full playthroughs of Mega Man games on this channel in the pretty near future. So if you enjoyed this and want more Mega Man, you can look forward to that. That's going to do it for this series. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.